Hello folks, so today I want to show you how I capture the full disk of the sun. And the telescope I'm going to use is a dedicated solar scope. It's called the DayStar Solar Scout SS60-ds. And I'm going to use with it my ASI183 camera. Now the only problem with this combination is this camera gets me in so close that I can't quite fit the whole disk of the sun in the picture. It's close, but not close enough. If I were using my ASI1600, I would have no problem. It gives me a bigger field of view, but not this camera. So I'm going to need some help. So I've got a 0.8 reducer. That will definitely help me fit the entire disk of the sun in a single frame, because I don't want to do mosaic where I have to stitch images together to get the full disk. That's too much work. So here's my whole imaging train, and I'm going to show you how I put this together. And the first thing I use, like I said, is the ASI183 camera. And I'm going to attach a tilt adapter to it. And what this tilt adapter actually does, a lot of times when you're capturing, when you're doing solar imaging, you might see Newton's rings in the image. And what the rings look like is, if you actually cut a tree in half and you look inside the trunk, you see rings, like rings that go around the trunk. That sometimes it shows up on the sun, and I don't know if it's interference patterns or what, but if you actually give the camera a little bit of tilt in the imaging train, you can get rid of those rings. And so I use a tilt adapter. Now I haven't seen those rings in a long time, and so maybe the tilt adapter is doing its job. And I give it about, I adjusted the screw. This is a ZWO adapter, by the way, tilt adapter. And I give it about maybe less than 1/8 of an inch tilt. And that seems to, maybe that's why. Oh, the screws seem to be loose here. I wonder why. Ooh, I better not mess with it. But I haven't seen Newton's rings in a while, so maybe that's why, because I'm using this. So I bet you could probably get by and not see the rings, but I know a lot of people that have seen the rings, so I would definitely suggest getting a tilt adapter. So I'm gonna screw this on. So that's the first part. Next, here's my Orion 0.8 reducer, and I unscrewed the hollow tube. I don't need that. So let's screw this on. Now to get the rest of the pieces on, I need, oh, it's still on here. This is a 42mm to 48mm adapter, and I need this screwed on to the reducer just to be able to screw on my other adapters. Okay, so I've got the camera, the tilt adapter, the reducer, and the 48 to 42mm adapter. Next is I have, this is the Astronomik L-1 UV IR filter. And this is a must, because with my DayStar Solar Scout and ASI cameras, I get a lot of interference, and they look like bullseyes all over the image. And someone told me the way to get rid of them was with a UV IR filter. And he was right. It cleared up everything. All the interference patterns were gone, and the sun looked great when I started using this. So this is a necessity. I even tried it with more than one ASI camera. I mean, without the filter, more than one ASI camera. I think that was my ASI224MC and this camera both had bullseye targets all over the place. It was really strange interference. But this works. And this is actually the same filter I use for energy rejection on my other solar setup. So here's a little ring that comes with the ASI cameras. I'm going to thread this into the ring. Oh, and here's another ring, a thicker ring that will screw onto here that comes with the ASI camera. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to thread this ring into this outer ring here. And this is tricky because I have to leave enough room to be able to thread on, to be able to thread it onto here and thread this onto there. So I'll take it maybe halfway in. Now I'm going to thread it onto here. And this final adapter comes with my Solar Scout telescope, and this is what allows me to thread this whole thing onto that telescope. So I don't have a lot of room to thread on because of all this stuff, but it feels pretty secure right now. And that's it. It looks like a pretty long imaging train here, but I've used this same setup last year, and it works. So I'm confident I'll have no problems tomorrow. It's supposed to be clear tomorrow during the day, so we'll see how that goes. And now let me show you what this is. Okay, so what this is, it's my flats box. This is what I use to create flats with. And creating flats for solar is a completely different animal than doing deep sky. You know, for deep sky you could use an iPad and a t-shirt or a light panel, but neither of those, the light panel or the iPad, will give you enough luminance to create flats because the solar telescope blocks so much brightness, the light from those sources will never get through. And even pointing at the sky will not work. The only thing that's going to work for luminance is to point at the sun itself. So that takes the place of my iPad. And the only problem is when you're doing the full disk of the sun only takes up a small part of the screen. So how do you spread that light across from edge to edge when you want to create flats? And so I tried the t-shirt method to spread the light across edge to edge, and it didn't work. The solar telescope still blocks so much brightness. The t-shirt it will take forever to finish your flats. You'd probably have to do 3 or 4 minute exposures per flat just to get enough luminance through to the telescope. So I didn't know how to solve that problem until I posted on Cloudy Nights, and someone said, yeah, instead of the t-shirt, use plastic wrap that you might find inside of a cereal box as a way of spreading the light across from edge to edge. Now, I didn't want to have to eat a whole box of cereal just to take the wrapper out, but I found similar plastic in the basement, and instead of wrapping it around the telescope, I just taped some to the box here, and I can just put the box over my telescope, and it works great. And with this, it only takes 3 or 4 seconds per flat to create a flat frame. So 3 or 4 seconds as opposed to many minutes for a t-shirt method. This is the way to go. And I'll show you how I use this. So okay, sky is looking pretty good. A few clouds up there, but I think we'll be able to image the sun today. All right, I can still squeeze through there. I don't know if you can see Kane hanging out way on the other side of the fence there, but here is my solar setup, and we're not going to be using my big telescope. We're going to be using my Solar Scout. A lot of people might think that was a guide scope, but it's actually a solar telescope in its own right. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take my setup here. I already took the cover off. Oh, you know what? I should probably I hear a plane. I should probably make sure there's no dust in there too. All right, now I'm going to thread on what I just built in the basement. All right. I don't know if you can hear that tapping. The woodpecker is at it again. All right, I am ready to go. Okay, so that 0.8 reducer really does the trick. I've got the full disc now with room to spare on the top and bottom, but let me scoot it up a little bit more. Oops, not that way. So there is the full disk of the sun. And what I'm going to do right now is, even though I think I did a pretty good job just wiping the dust off of the sensor and the glass, so I'm still going to create flats. So I'm going to use this this little box here that I told you about, and we'll see how this works. So I want the sun to stay in the center while I'm doing this, but tracking looks pretty good, even though I have no polar alignment. It's all my best guess. So the AVX doing its job right now. So I'll be right back. Okay, so let's put this little box right on top of the scope to cover up the objective lens. And that works just like doing an iPad and a t-shirt method when I do deep sky. So let's see. Let's go back inside and create the flats. Okay, so even with that plastic wrap, it looks like I can't see anything. You see how any little thing can block the light. But if I go to 4-second exposures here, let's see. Okay, now I'm getting something. And let's go to tools. There's a histogram on here. Let's see what the histogram looks like. All right, I think the histogram is good. If you go to about a quarter of the way or halfway up, I've done okay with the flats in that range. You can see how it spread the sun across almost edge to edge, and now I have to create my flats here. See, I remembered that from last year, about 4 seconds or 5 seconds. Well, you know what? I don't remember being halfway up. Let's go 3 seconds and see what that looks like. Nah, about 3.5. You know what? Wait, let's do 3 seconds again. Maybe that wasn't too bad. I think that'll work. We'll go with 3 seconds. Now I'm going to create my flats. Number of frames, I'm just going to do 20. I don't have much time. The natives are getting hungry here. Everybody wants pizza. I'm going to have to take a break after I do flats. I'll do 20 frames. That seems to work okay. And I hit start. And capturing 1 frame, 2 frames. All right. And after I do my flats, I can start imaging. But like I said, I got to go get pizza now, so I'll be back after I've eaten. Okay, so I have eaten, I am back, and I've already captured quite a few videos of the sun, but I'll show you what I was doing here. I hit start in SharpCap here. I'm going to go 10 seconds. I'm going to do not 10-second videos. I'll just set the sequence length for 99 with an interval of 10 seconds in between, and I'll just hit start. And that's how I record the sun. You know, it would be nice if there was more activity on the sun, like sunspots all over the place or filaments all over the place, but we're in a solar minimum and the sun has been really inactive for a long time now. So this is what it looks like. And let me go into AutoStakkert and show you how that works. Okay, so I am in AutoStakkert, and the first thing I want to do is load up my flat frames. I want to create a master flat, and you can see here is the videos of the sun. And what it did when I created my flats is it put them in 3 separate folders because I accidentally had sequence turned on. I said record this the flats 3 times, so it created a sequence of 20 flat frames each. I only need the first sequence here. And there should be 20 flat frames in here. I'll select them all. And I'm going to go into image calibration, and I'm going to say create master frame. And I'll save it to where my videos are being stored here. Desktop. Okay, capture. All right, I'm going to save it here. I'll call it flat master. Flat master. And it's probably already done. Oh, there it goes, 70%. And let's have a look. Let's see, flat master, right at the bottom here. And there is my master flat. And there are very few blemishes on this. Wow, I really did a good job of cleaning out my imaging train. And all I did is I just took things apart and used that little squeezy blower on them. So let's go back in here and let's see. Let's open up one of my sun images. They all look the same to me. I'll just pick one at random. Let's say there. All right, and let's see here. Now, if I had a dirty imaging train, you would see dust spots here. And the cool thing about AutoStakkert is if I'll say load master flat, here's my flat master, and you would see right away the dust being removed if I had dust when I hit that load master, that load flat master. And you can see here, it says right here, buffering, and it says flat. If I didn't have a flat loaded, let's see, clear, loaded, dark, flat. See, the word flat just disappeared. So that's how you know if your flats are loaded in. Now I'm not a whiz kid with this AutoStakkert stuff. I've got surface turned on, improved tracking. I'm not sure what that. I don't take the time to look at all this, and I'll just say keep 50% of the frames. Save in folders, and I'm not going to do drizzle, but if you want to double the size of your image, you can turn on drizzling. Let me hit analyze. Okay, the analyze finished. Now I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say place grid. Maybe I'll choose 48. I'm not sure how many points I really need. Let's see. Ooh, that's probably too many. Let's try 104. That'll probably work. Okay, so I'm going to keep 50%. And I'm just going to hit stack. See how it goes. Run, baby, run. I don't know how fast how long this will take. Okay, so you can see AutoStakkert finished. It says 100%. Now let's go into PixInsight and take a look at what we stacked. And I'm already pointing to that folder. It put it in the captured folder. AS, I think P50 means I ran it as a percentage, and I chose to keep 50% of the frames. And so here it is. And okay, so what I've got going on here now is I saw this earlier before I started this recording. I see a little bit of an arc here. I'm not sure what's causing that. I could probably stack a different file, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just want to let's just do a quick process on this one. I'm going to hit restoration filter, and I've seen someone else with these settings. They went down to about 0.65 on the shape, and I don't know what STD dev is. I think that probably means standard deviation. I'll leave that at 2. And I'm going to drag this over here to sharpen it. And you can see what it did to my texture. I don't know how well you can see this in the video, but here's my texture before and after. So that restoration filter really does a good job. And look what I've got going on here. I could swear I see that arc I saw earlier seems to have gone. So I've got a little bit of filament going on. A trace of activity. How cool is that? Now, let me show you here. I'm going to create a mask, and I'm not going to worry too much about it. I usually spend a lot of time creating the perfect shape of it. Let's see. All right, now let me drag this over here. So I'm going to, let's see. How well did I get that? Show mask? It's hard to tell. Did I just get that perfect? So what I'm going to do now is invert the mask. Now we're only going to touch the sun. Let's see. Color spaces. I'm going to convert this. You know what? Before I applied the mask, I should have I should have converted it to an RGB image. So let's remove the mask, and I'm going to say convert this to RGB. Now let's put the mask back. And let's see here. Show. I want to invert it. Okay. What if I did something like this? Sometimes I will go down to HDR and bump this up to 8. What does that do? Will that make it pop a little more? This is what I usually do. I experiment in whatever works best. And people are always asking me, well, we'd like to see your processing videos, Chuck. Well, I'm more of a hack. I just go back and forth, and whatever works, works. I would only confuse people. Check that out. We got a lot of, it really pops now. That actually looks pretty cool, but I don't know if I'll stick with that. But now let's apply some color. Let's remove the mask. Now let's turn up the red. Bring up the red. Bring down the green. Bring down the blue even more. Hey, now we've got an orange sun. Let's see this. It would look a lot better if there was activity on the sun. Well, that's one way you can do it. Let's play around with the color some more. Is that too orange? Well, there's our sun. I'll probably keep playing around with this and see what happens. But I don't know. I hope you found this useful, folks. That's how you image the full disk of the sun and put some color on it when you're using a mono camera. And I will see you guys later.